Hey, good morning, everybody, or good afternoon. I think one thing that you guys did enjoyable this weekend, put it in the chat function. Do that now, please, because I'm letting people in. All right, we're getting pretty close to full here. What did I do? I took care of my babies, which was actually pretty fun because they're doing all sorts of cool stuff now. And then I did house projects with my dad, and I had two huge bonfires to get rid of a bunch of wood and junk in our yard. So it was pretty productive on my end. Trying to figure out if Ashton is here. I don't think so. Jackson Poor. There you are. Okay. Let's briefly look at what you guys have been up to. Sleep, watching Friends, JoJo, birthday party, fishing with his dad. That's cool. Clean my room. That doesn't sound too fun. Slept, swam. Nice. Redoing the patio. Cleaned. All right. Well, sounds like you guys at least did something. That might have been the last good weekend in terms of weather, being in the 70s, 80s. Yeah. All right. So I'm going to go ahead and take the screen share since we have a lot to do today. And I really want to make sure that everybody's on the same page. So just a heads up. Again, really want to make sure you're listening. This week, your reading quiz is going to be Wednesday, as that is our 9 weeks testing day for this class. So the normal reading quiz will suffice as a notes quiz in your 9 weeks test. And then tomorrow I'll be lecturing over chapter 20, Africa and the slave trade. And then Thursday we'll look a little bit more at documents and do themes day. And then Friday we'll have a discussion. And then you guys will be off for fall break. Okay, should be a pretty easy week. I think there's at least one of you that still needs to take the test from last Friday. So everybody else's scores are in, and they weren't bad. Okay, that's good. We need to work on writing though, and that's what we're going to be working on today. So what I'm going to do is go to modules. I'm going to show you guys this, and I'm going to ask you to do the same thing. And so you'll notice that I've cleaned it up where you should just be chapter 18, 20, and 21, and we're starting with chapter 20. And so I need you guys to open this up, the Transatlantic Slave Trade DBQ. And I need you to download that. it will look like this. Okay, so go ahead and do that now, please. And then the other thing that I need you to download is also under modules. And that is 928 DBQ worksheet. So you click on that, and that's going to bring up, should download for you this. Okay, so I'm gonna give you maybe 60 seconds or so to get that pulled up and on your computer, please. All right. Any participants function? Just put a check mark, please. Green check mark, like I just did, if you're ready to go. Okay, so it appears we're pretty close here. Good. All right. So the first thing I want you to look at is this AP World History DBQ worksheet. Okay, make sure you're looking at it. Okay, I put in the directions: read and annotate the DBQ essay handout, then fill out the following information as if you were writing an essay. So this is in our scaffolded approach to learning the DBQ. This is just a kind of the next piece of the puzzle. So I'm going to walk you through contextualization and kind of what grouping will look like. And then we've already done point of view, audience, perspective, bias, limitation. So you should be able to do this on your own. And what you're going to be doing tonight on your own then or today is going through the documents, grouping them, and then creating your thesis statement from those groups. Okay, so that's the skill we'll be working on today. Now, in order to do this, you absolutely have to have both of the documents pulled up. So I'm going to go to the point where I just have those. Okay, so before we get started, then I'm going to look at the transatlantic slave trade DBQ right now. Okay, it says, following questions are based on the accompanying documents 1 through 9. The documents have been edited for the purpose of the exercise. Historical context. As all the kings and explorers and business financiers had hoped, the Americas were full of opportunities to make money. Gold, silver, and other minerals could be mined, and tobacco, sugar, and other crops could be grown on plantations. In order to make use of these resources, there would have to be a reliable supply of laborers to do the work. The Native American population had dwindled due to disease and war and did not provide enough labor. However, the Europeans had access to another cheap labor market that had already existed, the African slave trade. While the use of slaves has existed in societies for millennia, it was not until the mid-15th century that Europeans began trading and capturing slaves from the African continent, just in time for the discovery of the Americas. Between 1450 and 1870, over 10 million humans were taken from Africa. This would have enormous consequences for both the African and American continents, for all the people involved, especially the slaves themselves. The prompt is, discuss the effects of the development of the Atlantic slave trade. So the effects of the development of the Atlantic slave trade and its impact on the participating civilizations from 1450 to 1750. So the effects of the development and the impact of it. Okay, So if I were you guys, like if I was doing this, I would highlight that in yellow because that's the most important part right there. And then the word effects, I want to make sure that I know that one, and impact. So it's looking for me to discuss the effect and the impact. All right. Now, before I get into my documents, because you're going to see there's 9 of them here. Next thing I think I'm going to do then is go into contextualization on my worksheet, global context, which looks like this right here. So what is going on in the world that's going to affect the documents that you're about to read? And this would be your introductory paragraph to your essay. So if we're looking at the effects of the development of the slave trade and the impact, what are 4 kind of things that were going on around the world that would affect this? Okay, I'm going to look for you guys to use the hand raise function and tell me what you think would make sense here. Okay, I see a Hannah Hiddle. What do you think?
Like the new trade routes that are like connecting more global, like each continent.
Okay, so connection between Eastern and Western Hemisphere, right? That'd be a pretty good place to start. Okay, next we have Brooke. What do you think?
Like the ability for minerals to be mined and all the new crops, like the sugar and tobacco crops.
All right, new materials such as gold, silver, crops, etc. discovered. Okay, good. All right, Lucy Hiddle.
Maybe the effect of like religion, like the Catholic Church, and their kind of like, and the explorers, like they're biased with their own churches.
Okay, Catholic Church expanding rapidly, and that could have an effect on the locals too, right? Converting what was called, we'll call them Indians, but we know they're Americans. Okay, I see someone else here. I think it was Luella.
The Native American populations dwindling.
Okay, so another major thing then was the native populations around the world dying in mass numbers due to the exchange of said materials and ideas. Materials, ideas, and diseases. Boom, good. All right, so if you guys were doing a contextualization, like this would be really good. This would be solid. So that would be at the beginning of your paragraph, and that's exactly on the rubric we looked at last week. What it'd be asking you for. Last Monday we looked at it. Okay, so basically you would turn this into 4 or 5 sentences, and then you would finish with your thesis statement, which is addressing the effects of the development of the slave trade and the impact on participating civilizations. So you have to get that from the documents. Make sense to everybody? Okay, now this isn't, there are other things you could put in here for contextualization. You could put something like improvement in technology, desire to find a way to get to China or to get to the Spice Islands, etc. Okay, so The next step then is going into the documents and one, recognizing like where there's obvious limitation or point of view. And then two, marking those documents to see what they're saying so we can put them into three main groups. Okay. Once we've done that, making the thesis statement is possible, but you can't make the thesis statement until you see what the documents are saying. Okay. So it's backwards planning here. See what the documents are saying, then you're going to be able to make your thesis statement. All right. So for this purpose, we have 9 documents. That's 2 more than you'll get when we write our first DBQ, but it's good practice. Okay. First one's a letter about Spain's interactions with his colonies. Second one is the life of Alauda Equiano. Third one is a slave ship, a description of institution of slavery, Ofaba Cuguano. A volume of Bernardin de Saint Pierre's Voyage, a letter from King Alfonso of the Congo, and an engraving by William Blake, and then the narrative of the life of Frederick Douglass. Some of you maybe have read this before. I read that in college, actually, the whole thing. Okay, so you're going to see that there are these questions underneath here, like number 5. Why is King Alfonso writing this letter? These are just meant to kind of help you understand the passages. I don't expect you to read them at all, okay? Or I don't expect you to answer them, okay? So what you're going to try to do is go through each one of these documents, figure out what it's saying in relation to the prompt, either effect of the development of the slave trade or an impact on the participating civilization, so that you're able to put it into one of these groups, which would be right here, and then come up with a topic sentence, which would then go to your thesis statement, okay? Let me show you one time what your thesis statement is going to look like. Sometimes this works. Let me see. And let me use this color. Okay. So this is going to go here. This is going to go here. And this is going to go here. And so your thesis is going to be something to the extent of the effect of the slave trade and the impact on societies were. And then you go with what your groups are, 1, 2, and 3, like what you called them. Okay. And you get those groups from your grouping of the documents, what the documents say. Let me clear that. And let's go to here. So what I would do if I were you is I would just read each document and then put down what I think it's saying as either the effect or the impact. So let's just take a look at document number 1. Okay. Okay, we had a visitor. Sorry. All right, document 1. From New Spain are obtained gold, silver, and other things. 1/5 of all profits go to the king. Great quantities of gold and silver used to be out in the open. With all of it gone, now gold and silver have to be mined. The work is hard, and the Spaniards are not willing to do the work. Natives who have become Christians are not allowed to be forced to do the work because the emperor freed them. So, is that how does that affect the development of the Atlantic slave trade, and how does it impact the participating civilizations? Somebody help me raise their hand. What do they think? What effect does this have? If I were taking notes and I could easily take notes on this, here's what I would write. Oh, Brooke, you got it? Go ahead.
Like I would say it was like impacting it because now that the natives are not able to work, so now they're gonna have the need for
Yep.
yeah.
Natives no longer, yep, allowed to work. Whoops. So, labor from Africa is necessary in the mines, right? There you go. Good. Okay, that's all you would do. Okay, and then you hope you're going to find something that kind of match that as well. So then, next thing is you go to the life of Elijah Aquilano. Then you keep going. All right, this is just a slave ship. You can see slaves had an average of 4 square feet total on a ship, which is absolutely ridiculous. So that's going to be an impact, obviously, which, you know, a lot of people are going to die, up to 15% in the Middle Passage. That's going to be also mean that there's going to need to be more. If people are dying, there needs to be more people, more slaves. Okay, so that's how I would do that. Let me go through one point of view for you. So let's take a look at this document by Elijah Aquilano. I now saw myself deprived of all chance of returning to my native country, even the least glimpse of hope of gaining the shore, which I now consider as friendly. I even wished my former slavery and preference to my present situation, which is filled with horrors of every kind. Still heightened by my ignorance of what I was to undergo, I was not long suffered to indulge my grief. I was soon put down under the decks, and there I received such a salutation in my nostrils I had never experienced in my life, so that the loathsomeness of the stench and crying together, I became so sick and low that I was not able to eat, nor had the least desire to taste anything. I now wished for the last friend, death, to relieve me, but soon to my grief, 2 of the white men offered me eatables, and I'm refusing to eat. One of them held me fast in my hands and laid me across, I think, the windlass, and tied my feet, while the other one flogged me severely. I've never experienced anything of this kind before, and although not being used to the water, I naturally feared the element the first time I saw it, but nevertheless, could I have gotten over the nettings, I would have jumped over the side, but I could not. And besides, the crew used to watch us very closely, who were not chained down to the decks, lest we should leap into the water. And I have seen some of these poor African prisoners most severely cut for attempting to do so, and hourly whipping for not eating. So this whole thing goes on to explain how wretched it was on a slave ship. Okay, how does that answer the question, the effect of the development of the slave trade and its impact? Well, what kind of impact is this on native Africans who were taken across on the Middle Passage? Kaylee, what do you think?
It caused population to decrease because all the whippings and like starvation, all the natives were dying.
Okay, population decrease on the continent of Africa, right?
Yes.
Also, the people that did live, how were they, like, what were they treated like? Hannah, you still have your hand up. Hannah Hiddle, what do you think?
Well, the ones that lived, I feel like, were just like scarred, and they were just like in the state of like, just like your mind and like your body just like being like so like totally different. Like it's just like scarring.
Yeah, and another way that we put that was Africans were treated as property,
Not people.
not people, or inhumane. Good. All right, so then you go to the next one. Now, what's the bias or limitation from Elijah Equiano, where we could put that on our worksheet down here, where it says document number. I'm definitely going to go document number 2, and then for Y, I'm probably going to put. What do you guys think? Somebody help me out here. Anyone want to raise their hand? Where's the perspective limitation? Lucy?
The perspective limitation would be this is only coming from a slave's point of view, not like the explorer's point of view. We thought that this was like something okay that should be happening for their own good.
Good. I'm going to say it's credible first person narrative. But I don't know. I think it's credible because it's a first person narrative explaining that how the situation, if that makes sense. And this is one of those where I think if you say it was credible because it is first person narrative, yes, like the person could be exaggerating, but probably not, especially based on what we know. But if you said that then in the essay, when you're writing it, you would get points for sourcing that document. Like another one, I'll just give you it away. I'll help you guys. Just another one's dead giveaway is like this picture, like just because it says the Brook 17, we don't know who the Brooks are or what the Brooks are. Is could they have been making it seem like the slaves had more space than they really did because they wanted the British and other governments to think that this should have been okay? So that's where you can question the limitation of a document, like document 3. I mean, this person, William Blake, who made this painting, clearly was biased in thinking that, the symbolism was that Europe and the natives in the America, or the African slaves and natives in the Americas were meant to like hold up and support Europe, so person obviously came from the perspective that Europe was abusing the rest of the world. All right, I'm gonna let you guys try to get to it today, okay? So you want to take these documents and try to put them into 3 main ideas like I showed you on this sheet, and then come up with your thesis, okay? I've already given you 2 of these point of views. Document 3, I told you there's really nothing back that says it's credible. Could be, obviously could be wrong. And then I already did the contextualization with you also, so this should be manageable. When you get to Canvas, I think this is the Canvas. I want this done by 11:59 tonight, okay? You probably need to put some time into it tonight. Your notes quiz is not until Wednesday. In fact, I'll tell you what. I'm going to do everyone a solid here so I don't get people stressing out. There's no reason you need it. Let's make this due at 11:59 tomorrow night, okay? So then people have 2 nights to work on it and they don't panic and get less panicking. Okay? All right. I'm going to leave you guys on your way to work on this then, if you're okay with that. Does anyone have any questions? If not, you guys are free to log off and like I said, put some sweat equity into it. Brooke, you have your hand up?
Oh, no.
Okay.
Peace out. Bye-bye.
See you guys.